It all started on a Tuesday night at the family's home deep in the woods. Parents Steve and Stacy and their 14-year-old child John lived there. It was just John's birthday on Monday, so he had just turned 14. Every Tuesday night was his parents' date night. They always hired a babysitter to watch John, but since he was 14, they were going to let him stay home alone. So Steve and Stacy left around 6. John played Fortnite with his friends till around 8. Then he was starving. So he texted his mom and she would be home around 1 a.m. So he asked if he can get anything to eat. So she ordered him a pizza to come at around 8:30 or 9. And so he kept playing video games until he heard a knock at the door. He checked his phone to see the time, but it was dead. So he ran downstairs, looked through the window, and he saw nothing but his long driveway deep in the woods. So his heart skipped a beat. He opened the door to the pizza on the ground and the delivery car driving off. He let out a deep breath of relief and grabbed the pizza and ran upstairs. John sat down, opened the box, and at the top of the box the lid said, "Home alone, child?" And then all of a sudden the power went out. John went to call 911, but he didn't charge his phone from earlier. So he grabbed a flashlight, locked his door, and barricaded it. He then sat in the corner of the room in terror as someone knocked at the door. Knock, 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 knock. John didn't know what to do. It was as if the stranger was toying with him. He was so creepy in a way John has never experienced. John decided to man up, so he went out to look out the window to see if he can get out there and get outside of the house. He saw his bike. He opened the window, and it was only around 10 feet, so he decided to jump. Just as he jumped, the knocking stopped. He landed, got on his bike to ride away. He heard the stranger running through the house to get to him. Things shattering, footsteps coming as fast as his heartbeat. He started to ride, and the stranger tackled him. This was John's first time seeing him, for he had a mask on. John yelled, "Why are you doing this?" The man, as he pulled out his knife, said, "You took everything from me." John then grabbed his flashlight and hit him on the head, got on his bike, and rode to the end of the driveway as fast as he could. He saw headlights and it was his parents. He was so relieved. He jumped inside the car, screaming and telling his parents everything he knew and how about the man coming after him to get him. And so Steve and Stacy didn't know what to think. They didn't know if he was playing a prank or if he was just hallucinating. So they didn't decide not to call the police yet. So they continued to go down the driveway. Steven had his hand on his gun, ready for anything. Next thing you know, the masked man busted through the window, grabbing John by the throat. John screamed with all his might. Steven turned around and shot the stranger 3 times in the chest. He fell to the ground. Stacy was screaming. She went back there and hugged John and comforted him, who was terrified. Steven called 911 and they came quickly, as quick as they could. Turns out, in the end, the man escaped from a mentally insane asylum, and he was looking for the killer of his wife around 10 years before, who looked just like John. He toyed with his wife. The killer toyed with his wife before he killed her. That's what he was trying to do with John. In the end, everyone was safe, and John was to always have a babysitter.